Hey everyone, it's me again, and I'm actually re-filming the AuthorTube Newbie Tag video because I didn't like the first one. I feel like I sounded kind of stupid, so I wanted to film it again and actually put a little more, I guess, time and effort into the questions. I feel like I might have rushed to begin with, so yeah, this is my second attempt, hopefully the final attempt, and I'm gonna get it up as soon as I can so that I can, film a new vlog because I have a 4-day weekend, so a lot of time to get some writing done, which I'm super excited about. But anyway, I'm just gonna get right into the questions. Before I forget, the AuthorTube Newbie Tag was started by her name is Jenna Streety. I think she used to also go by Jenna the Dark One. I'm not 100% certain. And I'll try to link the original video down below. So far I've been good about linking things down below, but this is only my third video, so I don't want to get ahead of myself, But yeah, let's jump right in. Question number 1. How did you find out about AuthorTube? I think it was Natalia Lee's channel that introduced me to AuthorTube because I somehow stumbled across her Preptober workbook for NaNoWriMo, which then led me to stumbling across her YouTube channel, and I started watching her videos and I realized wow, people actually make videos about writing. All this time I've been on YouTube, and I've never seen this. I felt like I was really missing out. And so after I discovered Natalia Lee, I just went down the rabbit hole basically, and that's all she wrote. I became obsessed with AuthorTube. Question number 2. What genres do you write in? I primarily write paranormal. Werewolves are my favorite things, but pretty much anything that has magic in it or supernatural creatures is my jam. I love it. I've been obsessed with vampire fiction since I was 13 years old, so that's not something I've grown out of yet. Probably won't ever grow out of it. I have also tried my hand at horror. As I mentioned before, Stephen King is a really probably my favorite author, and so I've tried my hand at writing horror stories. I tried horror novels, and then I just tried horror short stories, and I feel like I can probably get a good scene, and then it just falls apart because I'm just not good at tying the whole story together, I guess. I would love to write science fiction. I have an idea for a science fiction story, but every time I've tried to write science fiction, I just feel like I'm not smart enough for it, I guess. The word is right there, science, and I was never, unfortunately, very good at science, so for now, I'm kind of sticking to paranormal. And romance very, very much plays a role in what I write as well. I love anything with a bit of romance. I can't help it. Question number 3. What is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? Category of story, hands down, young adults. I live for young adults, and I don't know why. I'm nowhere near being considered a young adult anymore, unfortunately. I don't even want to tell you how old I am, but I just love young adults, and I like middle grade. I've just never written it. I also like new adults, I guess, thinking about it, but the one thing I just love writing, young adult, hands down. As for point of view, my current trilogy is written in the first person, and I feel like that's the easier point of view because it's easier to describe thoughts and emotions that way. And with a third person point of view, I feel like it's just a tiny bit trickier, but I don't know if it's just because I've written, a trilogy, but I'm kind of sick of the first person, so my next story The next two stories I have planned are already planned to be written in the third person with, you know, multiple points of view. So I don't really know if I have a favorite, just whichever one, I guess, feels organic at the time. Yeah, that feels right. And as for writing tense, definitely past tense. When I used to write fan fiction, for some reason everything had to be present tense, and I don't know why. Now that I no longer write fan fiction, I just 110% stick to past tense. It's my favorite. Question number 4. Are you a plotter, pantser, or plantser? I wouldn't call myself a plantser, but I am a little bit in the middle of plotter and pantser. I used to be a pantser and it was awesome. It was really fun. But now if I try to write a story without an outline, I get lost and it stresses me out and I get really overwhelmed and just give up. But when it comes to my outlining, I also can't outline too much or else I'll get overwhelmed and stressed out and give up. So I've found a medium where I will outline like a handful of chapters or scenes, and then I will go and I will write those, and then I will, when I reach the end of my outline, I will, you know, go back to the outline and, you know, plan out a little more, and then go back to the project and write that little bit more. And it's a way for me to kind of keep things open. Like, I still have the structure and the skeleton of the story I'm telling, but if while I'm writing something pops up in my head, I'm not too like concerned with messing up my outline by adding it in. Like, my outline is empty enough that I can find a place to easily fit that new idea in, and that's kind of why I say I'm both a plotter and a pantser. So, okay, wow, I guess I just had an epiphany. I am a plantser. Like, I never would have considered myself one before, but now actually talking it through out loud, I am a plantser. Cool. Gotta get used to that. Question number 5. Are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? I am currently self-published through Amazon's KDP, and I would one day love to traditionally publish at least one of my novels, just because that's been, you know, the dream since childhood. So I'm gonna keep trying, but in the meantime, you know, the stuff that I either get rejections on, like my trilogy, unfortunately, or the stuff that's, you know, shorter, or I just don't think it's, you know, good enough to be sent out to agents, I will stick those on the self-publishing side. But then when I do have something that, you know, I want to query, I'm definitely going to keep trying. So yeah, I am self-published with dreams of traditional publishing in the future. Question number 6. What publishing company, literary agent, and or printing company are you represented by or use? If you're not yet published, what is your dream publishing house and or literary agent? I'm going to be 100% honest. Even with all of like the research I've done on, you know, publishing houses and agents and stuff like that, I don't really have a dream one, I guess. I want an agent who looks at my work and just genuinely wants to support my work and help me, you know, share my work. You know, I want it to be, not to use this word again in the same video, I want it to be organic. I want it to fall into place very naturally, and I want to have an agent that just wants to stand behind my work because of how much they like it, is basically all I want. And my dream publishing house would be any of the big ones, but, you know, like I said, I just want it to be organic. And I know that's probably a cop-out answer, but that's my answer. Question number 7. What AuthorTube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? You know, my channel is still really new, but I definitely want to do writing vlogs because they're fun and they make me want to write more, if that makes sense, because I want to be able to brag about how much I'm writing. But I also would like to do like how-to videos, not how-to, but how I do, you know, like how I outline, how I edit, you know, how I create characters maybe, stuff like that. But yeah, so basically just writing vlogs and how I do things. Sorry, that was way more of these than I needed. Question number 8. When did you start writing? I know I started writing when I was really young because a few years ago, my family was moving, and I found an old box that had a lot of my school stuff from elementary school, and it was this binder that I had in the first grade, and it had a little story I'd written. So I know I've been writing since about the first grade, but I didn't really get serious about my writing until the 6th grade, and it feels funny to say like that I got serious about my writing because the 6th grade is when I started writing fan fiction. So it wasn't like, you know, I was getting serious about original fiction and wanting to be a published writer and stuff, but it's when I started taking the craft of writing more seriously and started like really bettering my skill, I guess, as a writer. It's all because I met this girl on my school bus and she wrote fan fiction, and I was like, you can do that? Like, all this time I had been, you know, I had, you know, shows and movies I liked, I would just imagine in my head, you know, and then I found out, oh, you can actually write that stuff? Like, okay, and I was hooked for, you know, the next, I don't know, how old was I? Yeah, like 10 years. The next 10 years I was hooked on fan fiction. But, so yeah, I'll say about the 6th grade when I was 11 or 12 or whatever. Question number 9. What was the first story you ever wrote? So, going back to the question before, in the 1st grade I wrote a short story called The New Girl, which was just my way of coping as a child because my family moved around a lot, and the short story was just about a girl who was new to school, and she made a lot of friends and everyone loved her because obviously when you're a kid you just want people to like you, and so that was the very first story I've ever written. When I got into fan fiction, my first like story where I was taking writing more seriously, it was a Dragon Ball Z fan fiction about an original character who probably would be called a Mary Sue today, but I don't like that term, so whatever. But yeah, so Dragon Ball Z fanfic was my first like story once writing became more important to me. And then my first original story was a novel that it's unfinished right now. I finished what would have been book 1 because I realized while writing it that it was going to be like a trilogy or something. But the problem is I was really, really ambitious with it and I put too much in it, and it's currently sitting at like 500 pages, which is very clearly way too long for one book, especially one book that's supposed to be the first of, you know, 2 or 3. So, but it was called Forsaken, and it was a young adult paranormal romance about vampire hunters. And I don't know if you can hear my cat, I'm sorry. What, baby? He's just laying here yelling at me. So, what was I saying? Oh, it was about vampire hunters, and it's like just this faction, basically, where if you're born into this family, you know, you exist kind of to hunt vampires. I have saved everything because I think I have a good story underneath all the word vomit on top of it, so I'm hopefully going to go back to that in the future and make it shine the way I think it could. So yeah. My cat got me all messed up. I don't even remember what number I was on. Okay. Question number 10. What authors have inspired your writing the most? Even though our styles and genres and everything about our writing is so completely different, I'm definitely going to say Stephen King, simply because I've been reading him for so long, and there's no way he couldn't influence and inspire me. I read Pet Sematary when I was in like the 7th grade or something. I found it at my library, and I probably shouldn't have been reading Stephen King that young, but I did, you know, and I loved it. And then I think Carrie was the next one I read, and that's all she wrote. I also, despite, she's a very polarizing figure in the literary world, but I have to say, I've only recently started reading the Mortal Instruments series. I've read the first 3 books, and I have to say, Cassandra Clare's writing, I see so much of myself when I'm reading it, because she's detailed but not too detailed, and she has a way with her characters, and it's just, I was surprised. I didn't read her stuff for a long time simply because of, you know, like I said, she's a very polarizing figure if you know of her past with fan fiction and everything. I don't want to get into it. This isn't, you know, fanlore.org or whatever that site's called. Kind of just stayed away from her for some reason, like, but I was really surprised when I started reading. I just really connected, not just with the characters in the story, but just with the writing itself. So I gotta say, Cassandra Clare has definitely inspired my writing currently. Like, it's been very helpful to read that in the process of editing and seeing, like, I don't know, simple ways I can make my writing better. Just not copying or emulating her, but taking inspiration from her, if that makes sense. So yeah, I have to say Stephen King and Cassandra Clare, which is probably a weird duo, but you know. Question number 11. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? I kind of schedule them. I like to write in the morning. Even on like weekends when I don't have to wake up for work or anything, I still tend to wake up kind of early. And I just feel way more productive in the morning, so I will try to, you know, from about, you know, 9 or 10 a.m. to about noonish, I try to write. I get distracted, you know, here and there with the internet, but for the most part, I do try to schedule writing in the morning, and then the rest of the day, I just kind of write as it strikes me, basically. A little bit of both is what I'm saying. I do try to schedule, but if I don't, I'll end up writing eventually. It's just one of those things. Question number 12. Do you type on a computer or typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? And where do you write in general? I do most of my writing on my computer. I used to write by hand a lot, but now I really only write longhand when I'm stuck, because when I'm on my computer, for some reason when I'm typing, my perfectionist like streak comes out, and I feel like everything I type, you know, it has to be perfect. For some reason, I forget the backspace button exists, and you know, when I'm writing and stuff's not coming out as good as I want it to be, I get really frustrated, and that's kind of where I will fall into a creative block. I don't like to call it writer's block, but essentially writer's block. So whenever I'm starting to feel blocked up on the computer because of that perfectionism, I will move to a notebook, and for some reason I feel like I can be more free when I'm writing by hand. I allow myself to just write shittily when I'm writing, you know, with a pen and paper, and then when I go back to my computer and I have what I've written on the paper, on a piece of paper, it's like easier for me to make it better as I type it, and so that satisfies my perfectionist side. So, and I also, when I'm outlining, the bulk of my outlining is done on paper. Like, I guess because, like I mentioned, I feel more free when I'm on pen and paper than on a computer. Where do I write in general? My desk here in my shared office with my boyfriend. I was thinking I could probably do like a desk tour one of these days to show you my writing space, but it's nothing special. It's my space, you know? And when I'm not writing at my desk, I have a desk away from desk, which is the dining room table, and that's for days when, like, my boyfriend might be playing like a video game or watching TV and I want to spend time with him, but I know I have to, you know, get words out. Then I will sit at the dining room table, and even if we don't talk or anything, I still feel like I'm spending time with him, you know. And the final question, question number 13, what are you most looking forward to now that you're a part of AuthorTube? The biggest thing I'm looking forward to is just meeting, like, new people who are also writers. I don't know how I've gone so long with writing being such a big part of my life, and yet I have no friends that really like writing. Like, I have some internet friends that I role-played with and stuff, but that was different, and now I just don't have friends that like to write, and so it's just so weird to me. But I also, with this channel, I would really like to build my self-confidence a little bit, because I'm working on, I guess, being the best that I can be and loving myself, and the one thing I really struggle with is my insecurity and my shyness, and the fact that talking to people makes me want to shrivel up and die. And so I'm hoping with this channel that I'm able to build my self-esteem and give myself even just a little bit of confidence, so that talking to people isn't quite as hard, and maybe I even start to enjoy it, and I feel like it'll make me, you know, a better version of myself, to have better self-confidence. I feel like I always over-explain things. I have like the simplest mind sometimes, and yet I talk like it's an enigma that really needs to be explained. But yeah, so that was the AuthorTube Newbie Tag, which was really fun. Despite my insecurities, I like to talk about myself. It's a really weird conundrum, so answering questions about myself is super fun somehow. But yeah, so I'm gonna get this video transferred and edit it and upload it as soon as I can, because I did promise that I would have this up sooner, and then I was like, I don't like the way I answered these questions in this one. I just felt like I was like being really lazy and rushed, so I tried to give better answers this time around, because I don't want to rush anything on this channel. I want this channel to be genuine, of course. I feel like I'm being genuine, but I don't want it to look like I'm just kind of shitting out content, and the first video I have, I'm just like, yeah, that's good enough, you know, put it up on YouTube. Like, I do want to actually put in effort to make decent videos, so hopefully this video is decent. If you've watched it this far, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for watching the whole thing. If you liked it, you know, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, I don't blame you. Comment down below if you want. Did you write fanfiction? What was your first fandom? Did you have an original character? Do you like the word Mary Sue? Because I really do not like that term. I feel like that is just a punishment for girls trying to be creative and write. I don't know. So yeah, comment down below if you have any thoughts, anything. I don't know, but don't feel pressured to comment. I feel like I'm always asking for comments. Anyway, if you liked it, thank you. If you didn't, thanks for watching anyway. And if you want to see like more of my stupid self, totally subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video.